War Eagle, and welcome back to E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here on this channel, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us, spending some time talking about being part of this whole Auburn experience. On this live stream tonight, a late one, it's 11:45 Eastern time where I am. We are doing a post-game reaction show to Auburn versus Mississippi State. Now, this could have gone several different ways, and I was preparing several different ways for this to go. Me being screaming, "Go crazy, Cadillac, go crazy" at y'all for 5 minutes straight to start off the show, or being very despondent, you know, uh, the way things started. I never thought that I would be sitting here um, with an opportunity to almost celebrate an Auburn win. Your final score, 39-33 in one overtime. Mississippi State takes down the Auburn Tigers, almost assuredly keeping the Tigers from postseason play. Really needed that one to keep our postseason hopes alive. It is still alive, but boy, is it a mountain to climb to make it happen. We're not going to focus on that, though. This is really just reacting about the game, talking about what we saw, what we experienced. Maybe all of y'all's pressure, like mine, is very heightened at this point. We're going to talk into that. So we'll take some of your comments and questions up there in the chat as we go throughout the stream tonight. And we have the Booster Club members that have the availability when we're in studio during post-game reaction shows to call in to the show. So if you guys are Booster Club members and would like to call in, that link is available in the Patreon app. All right, let's get this show started. We always start off with our check-in period. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international, right now, and smash that like button. If you're here on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed so you can enter into our giveaway for a signed Auburn football. More of that coming up later in the show. We'll talk about that. But that is how we love to get started here every single show with the check-in period. Post where you're watching from and smash that like button, even on social media if you're watching there. All right, listen, I know the initial reaction is to point blame, is to start complaining. Obviously, I'm not saying that we should all be upset, or we shouldn't be upset about losing. We should. That's the whole point of playing a game, is that you want to win it and that you're upset when you lose. But I hope that we don't point blame when it's a team effort. It's not one person's fault. Looking at some of you already. It is a team's fault. It is a team's effort. It is a team's win or loss. So what I am so proud about from this game is the fact that this team not only had every bit of adversity that you could probably have during a season or during a week, really, had every reason, every excuse to lay down, shut up, not even give an effort, gets into the game, and then goes down, what was it, 14-3? I can't even remember now how much we were down. 21 points we were down at one point, something like that. Had every reason to roll over, play dead, not come back to life, and took the lead with a minute left, essentially. Go figure. Who would have thought? So proud of this team. So proud of these players. So proud of the staff. So proud of Coach Cadillac. And I hope that's the prevailing thought tonight. And we'll talk more in detail about all of that stuff tonight. But I hope you walk away from tonight after the initial sting wears off being so proud of your players and of Coach Cadillac. There's no moral victories here, but boy, did they show you what it means to be an Auburn Tiger and to be Auburn men tonight. So proud of them. All right. Going to be a lot of comments tonight, so we will do our best to get to most of those there. They're already flying in down here. So if you have something that you'd really like for us to hit tonight, and it seems like we keep missing it, just keep posting it, and we'll get to it as we can. Michael, I'm going to cut you off right at the pass. Refs did not steal the game for us. That is an excuse. I'm not trying to be mean. If you put yourself in a better position, that doesn't even affect you. So the refs did not steal the game. Now, do refs make it more difficult to win sometimes? Absolutely they do. There have been much more egregious reffing jobs throughout the entirety of this year, especially. But I don't think this was one of them personally. I think maybe if I go back and look at it, yeah, maybe I'll find some things to be upset with the refs about, but I hope that's not our initial reaction. Yep. So a lot of celebrating for, what we saw out there, love for what we saw, proud of Auburn, feel hope for the first time in a long while. Isn't it? It's a weird feeling, isn't it? To feel so much hope, so much joy, and then so much sorrow all in one big old swoop. I mean, it is just so surreal that we're like talking about it this way. We won't focus on this, but if you want something to be happy about tonight, Alabama did lose. So yes, we can definitely celebrate that a little bit. We can revel in that and find, some solace in our sorrows tonight. But the main point that we're going to focus on is this game. You didn't watch the game then? Did I? I didn't watch the game. Interesting. Harse was pulling for Auburn tonight. Was that a fact? I don't know. I would hope he would. That would be something that, someone that's understanding the situation would be. So I hope so, but he's not part of the team anymore. So, there it is. Let's see here. A lot of other celebrating here. Good to see a lot of celebrating tonight on that. Yeah, I hope we don't want it to focus so much on the negative of what happened tonight, but we can really take hope of what we maybe had to look forward to coming home next week. I'm really excited for next week now. Robbie played good as a runner, but he can't throw, is what you say, Andrew. His short throws are garbage, and his decision-making in pocket is atrocious. Well, I bet you wouldn't say that to his face, but I understand what you're trying to get at there. Robbie is a young guy who is not getting a lot of support in some areas, much as anybody in that situation would, but especially when you're a freshman quarterback being thrust into this situation. My heart goes out to the kid. I do continue to say that I think he is the absolute best for us, given what we know about Holden Geriner right now, what he is able to produce given our offensive line and the way our running game stalls out at times. Showed up at the end of the game. Who would have thunk it? He's the best option that we have. I'm not saying that he's done enough to be the starter next year. That's a discussion for a much different time, much later time. But I do think that your criticism is a little overboard. The criticism is warranted, though, to a certain degree, because there are some decisions that continue to be made. There's some things that are, a little rough. Kyle, there's no way you can say the refs didn't make bad calls. I don't think I said that. I think I said that if you're saying the reason we lost this game was because of the refs, you're absolutely wrong. We lost this game because we were in a bad position. We put ourselves in a bad position for it to be able to affect us. And I'm not picking on you, Rob, or anybody else saying that. And I know that's probably making people turn off the YouTube right now because I'm not going into the narrative that the refs lost the game for us. But it's funny how we see that narrative switch. One day it's everybody saying, don't make excuses. How dare you say the refs stole the game for us? Then the other day it's not. It's just interesting how we switch back and forth on that. Dusty says, we need to figure something out on the kickoff going into next week. You're talking about kickoff coverage? Yeah, not good. They made a little switch up with some of the pooch kick stuff. I guess you would call them a pooch kick. They had some pretty dynamic returners back there, it seemed like. I don't really remember a lot of discussion about them coming into the game, but obviously they made a big difference. I mean, think about it, folks. We don't give up that kickoff return. We're not even in the situation for refs to make a difference. Great flow of play calling. Yeah, the play calling, I think, to start off the game wasn't great, and the play calling and execution wasn't great to start off the game. No one's going to probably dispute that. What we saw was some adjustments. How long have been we waiting to see this all year, right? We have just been waiting to see some adjustments all year. It's just shocking that you switch over staffs and it looks completely different. Let's see here. So I see a lot of people giving Anders criticism Sure, right. He missed the field goal. Disappointing. It's not Anders that we're used to. Think we would all understand, given context of what he's been through as a kicker and the injury, that he probably isn't going to be his exact same self. One thing that a lot of people I've seen online is, why aren't we playing him already? Well, there's this thing called, well, actually, I guess you could play him in this game. So now that I'm thinking about it, so you have the 4-game rule where they can play without losing their red shirt. And I don't think we've used McPherson in any game since, so he could have played in this game and still kept his red shirt. Listen, this is a guy that came back for his extra year, didn't have to, probably should have for his own benefit. And I think he made the wise choice there, even though he's not having the best year overall, but just to overall maximize his opportunities. But why not give him a chance is what a lot of you guys are saying. Maybe he's not ready. It's very easy for us to sit back there and say, why not give him a chance? There's a reason the coaches aren't playing. Maybe he's not ready yet. Rise Life says that he needs to kick it into the end zone. Sure. Maybe that wasn't the game plan. The game plan sometimes is to not kick it in zone and make him return it. We've seen him kick it out several times this year. Terrence says, great team play and effort. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. They ran into the kicker and it wasn't called, Michael says. Is that the call that you guys are ranting and raving about, that saying that was missed on that kick? If so, I mean, listen, it wasn't called. Nothing you can do about it at this point. So I will still hold true to what I said when I started off, when we started getting the chatter about that the refs did not lose us the game. You wouldn't be in that position if we had taken care of some other things throughout the rest of the game. So you're going to have to reconcile with that fact. I know it's raw right now. I know someone putting logic into the conversation right now doesn't really give you what you want, but it is the reality of what took place out there. Hey, Rob, one of the best things of the night was seeing not only Coach Etheridge, but Coach Cadillac run across to go get that timeout in, and see Caddy not only outrun him, but then Coach, I mean, I hated that he got hurt, but Coach Etheridge pulled that hammy, giving his heart, soul, and body for this team. You got to love that. This coaching staff just looked like they were out there having some fun together. Cadillac, I mean, went from this coach that you could obviously tell, given the circumstances, how big the moment was, how starstruck he was that he had this opportunity. And yet I felt personally, with his own little fare, kind of came into his own as a coach in this game. He hasn't arrived. I'm not saying that, but I'm just interested how quickly I started seeing him it's different to name someone a head coach, but to see them as a head coach out there. I loved watching Cadillac the entire night. And you knew the camera was going to be on him all night. It felt good. It really did. Brian says the best that Auburn has looked all year. Probably against Mercer looked a little bit better, but that's Mercer. Against quality opponents, meaning, Power 5 opponents, and Mississippi State is not a good team, but they are not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. Without Will Rogers, I shudder to think what this team would look like. That guy is a great quarterback most of the time. Love the multi-icing. Yes. I mean, it made sense, right? In the moment, 30 seconds left. You're probably not going to need that. How are you supposed to know that they're going to do a squib kick? Here, have we determined if that squib kick was on purpose to hit somebody or to put it onside? To me, it was a squib kick gone awry that just happened to hit our player, causing an onside kick. I mean, what an unfortunate turn of events. Gosh. I mean, obviously it didn't matter in the grand scheme, but that was just a weird play. Love the leadership from Robbie getting after Jeremiah Wright for that awful penalty. He needs to settle down. So there's two ways to tackle that one, Devin. So what she's referencing was the penalty that was given to Jeremiah Wright, the offensive lineman, for playing past the whistle, which he claims he didn't hear. There's a part of me that kind of loves that, right? We've been looking for a reason to get excited about our offensive linemen. Jeremiah Wright seems to be relishing that opportunity. And so for me, yeah, that sucked. I'm glad that Robbie got onto him to be the leader to correct him. But I love the passion. I love the enthusiasm. I love the fight in him. And that's what these guys out there need to be seen doing. I'm fine with some penalties from time to time if it just shows that you got that dog in you. Just let the tiger come out, I guess. You got that tiger in you, I guess, is what we should be saying. Let's see here. We got lucky a ton tonight at the end. Mississippi State got about 5 magical plays. So are you saying we both had luck? It was a weird game, man. I don't know what's going on with Auburn and Mississippi State. There's some bad juju in this, and that's not a rivalry game, but my goodness, it's a divisional competitive game every year, and it just seems like crazy stuff. It's not to the level of LSU yet, but my gosh, I mean, if it's not the 3-2 game, if it's not the goal line stand, I think it was in 2011, the day of when I got married. If it's not the Nick Marshall beautiful pass to CJ Ozama, like just some weird stuff happening in this game that's starting to rival some other things, some other games and rivalries we have. Megan's celebrating. I agree. You could see what a little bit we talked about this a lot on our preview show. We talked about was the energy boost that this team was going to get be enough to make a difference in this team this week. Now, we don't know. We can't go back, rewind this week and say Harsin wasn't fired. Does the team perform better? Now, I say that, and here's going to cue all the boo birds now. No, we wouldn't. Well, we don't know that, right? But here's what we do know. The energy, the excitement, some things that we didn't see were a lot different this week, and you've got to give that to Cadillac, to his decisions, to his coaching staff. What they did this week. Dusty was on the show on Wednesday, I believe, or was it Thursday? And he brought up the point that he was concerned about the loss in this game, not because he didn't believe the guys can do it, but because they only had basically 3 days to prepare, full days to prepare. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is really just a travel day with walkthroughs and stuff like that. And that's a good point. With the minimum time you can probably have, they almost pulled off this. Michael, I know that's the big prevailing thought. Listen, I think if Caddy had won out, gone to a bowl game and won out, he'd have to be in serious consideration for it. My little Auburn heart would love that. But we can't go off of emotions and what our little Auburn hearts, what we need to make with the best decision going for. Here's what I will say. Lane, Dion, Hugh, Matt, Dan, I'm just listing all of their first names now. Whoever is coming here, you better put Cadillac Williams on your staff. If he is not, you will not get off to a good foot with this fan base. That man's earned a place at Auburn for quite some time. Yes, I agree, Colby. It's so nice to see the fan base completely just switch for the most part, switch the knob and completely put the majority of its energy into focus on supporting this team and this coach. This loss sucks. The build-up to this next 6:30 game with Texas A&M, frankly, the battle for the worst team in the West, to put a damper on it, it's going to be a cool, cold, almost crisp fall night in Jordan-Hare, and go crazy. Cadillac's going to come over that stadium for the first time with Coach Cadillac as head coach. If you have not made plans to be in Auburn, Alabama, you need to make them now. Drive, walk, run, get there now, even if you can't get into the game. Yeah, his energy, I think, is something that he provided, obviously, during the week. But out there, he's just running around doing everything he can to prove that. You can tell this is a guy that's very appreciative of what he has been afforded the opportunity to do something that nobody else thought that they might be able to do in his position. Just the ability to make adjustments at the half tells me everything I need to know. I guess you're referring to the previous staff not being able to make that. It's so easy also to make those statements in hindsight when we don't know what would have happened continuing forward. Now, we have a lot of information to go off of what would happen if things had been different this week and changes weren't made. So it's probably logical to say that. But it's always that catch-22. It's very easy to say that. We just don't know. But what we do know is what happened on the field tonight. And what happened on the field tonight is a team got down, as it has all season, and has risen back to the occasion. The team has not quit at all this year. Now, they've gotten just run out of the stadium, but they never laid down. They kept fighting, kept trying to figure this thing out. This time, they didn't lay down. They kept fighting, and they found a way to basically win the game. Obviously minus a minute or two, but never thought we would be talking this way. I legitimately thought we'd be getting together on a live stream at the end of this game talking about, well, that sucked. And it does suck, but this is a different type of this is awful. All I know is I'm exhausted. I had 4 different sporting events you were invested in. Oh, man, I can only imagine. He can be offensive coordinator. Maybe. I don't care what he is. Keep this man on the staff. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm biased. I've got my picture right up here. It's kind of, I got to change my angle around a little bit so you can't see it as well, but put that man on staff. All right. So we've talked about the refs some. We've talked about Anders. I know everybody's upset with him. What are some of the other things, good or bad, that stuck out to you tonight? I'd like to hear some good things other than Cadillac tonight, because there were some good things. We talked a little bit about Robbie using his legs, making plays with that. Still some frustrations with some decision making on throwing and stuff like that. But what else? Tank and his big run that put us, in shot of winning the game, and then Jarquez Hunter put us in the lead. It was surreal. I couldn't believe it was happening. Spoke volumes to me that Jarquez was running back in overtime and not Tank. Russell, I think you might be digging into that just a little bit too much. I think unless you, I don't know exactly what you're getting at there. I think they were looking at situationally what he provides versus what Tanks provided. Jarquez had just kind of come off a hot streak too. I don't think it's any more than it was a situational thing. Both guys had a great game by the end of the night tonight. Penalties were a hindrance. Yes. So one reason we were not in a better position to win this game tonight is because of the penalties. Now, let's talk about that. Again, this is already a team that struggled with penalties this year. This is already a team that's had its issues and disorganization, especially offensive line-wise, struggles overall for many, many years. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for this to happen when you add more adversity to the week, right? So it shouldn't shock you that this happened, but it does begin to mount up and become more frustrating, compound upon that, more frustrating, more frustrating, more frustrating. They were a big hindrance tonight. If Auburn doesn't have the holding penalties and false starts, I mean, think about it. We had the ball in the red zone 2 different times and came away with 0 points, maybe 3 different times. But each time that we got that turnover in the red zone or close to it, we would take a false start or a holding penalty and push ourselves further back and further back and further back. Offensive line got better at the end. It's hard to say that they got better because the game had shifted a little bit, right? Mississippi State wasn't having a great offensive night as it went on. They're beginning to panic a little bit. Their defense is not feeling as supported, so they're making some more mistakes, maybe not paying attention the way they normally were. But it could be as simple as the light clicked, and they figured it out, the offensive line. I'm inclined to think it was kind of maybe a combination of the two, but something worked. Maybe it was just play calling. Defense made some great adjustments at halftime on the fly. So it's funny. We spent a week, why isn't Schmedding gone? Why isn't Schmedding gone? Why isn't Schmedding gone? They called a pretty decent game tonight. I'm not looking at stats in front of me right now. So that'll be, we'll have a little bit of a weird schedule this week. We'll cover that at the very end of the show because I know y'all are interested in that right now, but stay to the end. We'll cover a little bit of our schedule for the week. It's going to be a little tricky this is the time of the year Auburn sports schedule just starts coinciding with each other. So the defense made some really good adjustments tonight. They made some really big plays. One thing that Coach Harsin was harping on all year was us not taking advantage of turnovers, creating and taking advantage of turnovers. Tonight, 2 forced fumbles, an interception, opportunities for more big special teams play, putting us down in the red zone when the ball was fumbled by the punter, but we still have to go make the play. So the special teams wise, yes, there were some low points for that as well. But when you counter in what the defense was doing tonight, making big plays, I mean, how many times was Colby Wooden and Derek Hall in the back? I mean, just tore them up tonight. Absolutely tore them up. Great night for them. We're not going to really talk about the head coach situation tonight. I see a lot of you focusing in on that, and I know that's probably what you're only here for, but sorry, we're mainly talking about this game tonight. You might hear me reference it every once in a while, but a lot of people still being proud here. Let's see here. How about the offensive line setup? We've been missing that all season. 3 tight end sets as blockers. Where has that been? Well, it's now out of necessity. You've now moved into a situation where who knows what's happened with Austin Troxell. I have not heard or seen yet what has happened in terms of what the extent was. All I know is I last saw him being carted off. That is not a good sign, at least for him finishing the season. So you are now in a situation where you have lost 2 starting centers, a starting right tackle. Is he right tackle or left tackle? I think he's right tackle. And I think there was at least one more injury I'm forgetting about too, but banged up all year, missing personnel. So now you've got to do that. So maybe we should have been doing it all along, but now it's more of a necessity. Rise Life asking the question we all wonder, do you think we can beat Alabama? Well, of course we can. Is it going to happen? Probably not. I would have said that probably even if we won. Of course we can, though. Ben, my good friend Ben King, who does the review show with me, the grading and breakdown shows, is ever the optimist. With Caddy, anything's possible. Hey, man, he made me a believer tonight. We scored 17 in the second half against Ole Miss, 24 in the second half against Arkansas, 27 in this game. Hello, improvement. Well pointed out. Well pointed out, Devin. That's really good to see those numbers actually listed out there. Now, some of that improvement happened under the previous coach, but it was continued by this coaching staff. One of Auburn's biggest struggles early on in the season was they could score early, but they couldn't finish out the game. So you can see what happens here is this team is very capable of putting itself in a bad situation, but getting itself out of it. They've shown you that several times now. So what you should believe is that if you get down again, even against Alabama, that you still got a shot. This team has shown you they're not going to quit and they're not going to lay down. Brian, War Eagle, that was the most fun I've had watching Auburn football since Ole Miss last year. That's fair. My night was made by my 7-year-old cheering, "Go crazy, Cadillac, go crazy," after every positive play. You don't know how many times I had that queued up, ready to go tonight, like on social media, and it wasn't. And by the way, for those of you that wonder, it's not always me on our social media accounts. I do have helpers, so don't think it's just me on there. Scotty says, and I think this is a fair criticism. I thought the play calling was a little bit too aggressive. We left points out there in the field instead of kicking for field goals. we were trying to go for it, but I do understand why. So as long as you understand why, right? The commentators had a very good, why not? Listen, your season's on the line in terms of postseason opportunities. What do you have left to lose? Now, I wouldn't have made those decisions. Of course, I'm more of a conservative. If I was going to be coaching, probably would make people very mad with that. But you've got to also admire the aggressiveness of this. And I think the players, the team, fed off of that confidence. It sure didn't keep them from getting back in the game and almost winning it. So it was questionable at the time. I said, I get the aggressiveness, but maybe not. Tight ends and offensive line play better actually showed an identity of some sorts. Well, it's going to probably even change. Great point tonight by Rogers and whoever else was on the call tonight, that, they probably won't have an identity tonight because they've had 3 days really of preparation. So this week you might see a little bit more balance, a little bit more focus, a little bit more preparation, a little bit more organization to everything. Let's see. I'm trying to find some comments that we haven't hit quite yet. Don't want to keep hitting the same ones. We've already talked about Bama, celebrated that a little bit. AU has by far the most difficult schedule in the nation. Not sure any coach would have thrived in this season in fortunate situations. Well, there is a valid argument, Russell, to be had. Every coach is going to be different. Are they going to recruit better? Are they going to make decisions better? Are they going to provide a better offense, a better defense structure? We can play the if and but game. It is a fact, though, that this was a very difficult season for Auburn for a variety of reasons. Injuries, scheduling, just a lot of other things going on. Yeah, I know you guys are so happy. That's the one thing we're taking solace in tonight. We've done our crying for the year. At this point, we're looking for small little victories, not moral victories, but just small victories to take home. Leighton says, at the end of the day, most people did not expect us to put up this much of a fight. It just hurts being so close to getting Caddy that win he deserved. Now, my wife, I will credit her with this being the bright sunshine of optimism, even for me tonight, pointing out, now, Kyle, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but just think about it this way. You, meaning me, because I will be there. I've got my tickets. I bought it the minute he was named coach. You will be in the stadium for what could be Cadillac's first win as a head coach. Could be. Texas A&M has looked horrible. Doesn't mean we're guaranteed the win. But I will be there. And if I get to see Cadillac's first win in the stadium, it's going to be so sweet. Corey, we touched on that earlier. No news that I know of. I've been on with you guys literally since the game ended. So I haven't been able to check in the news and stuff like that. It's one of the bad sides of doing this live with you guys so quickly is there's news coming out that I'm not privy to. So sometimes I rely on you guys. So, Michael, here's the interesting thing about that. People were lamenting Will Friend the first game, calling him to be fired again. And listen, can we just stop calling for people to be fired? It's so overdone now. It's obvious who's not going to be here next year. Let's just be supportive now. Give them an opportunity to see what they can do. Because look what happens. They figured out, did Will Friend call a perfect game? No. And Hilliard call a perfect game because they're and people were blaming blaming Will Friend for the way the offense started. But they're forgetting that Hilliard is co-OC. So if you're going to blame one, blame both. Just give them some time. I'm so tired of fire this, fire that. Sit this person, sit that. Just support who's ever out there. I agree. We got a lot of good people here tonight. Good people, good crowd. Devin, that comment came through like a second time. That's interesting. I don't know why that came through a second time. I'm really far behind in chat. All right, I'm moving forward. So if you had a comment earlier that I maybe missed past that we haven't hit yet, looking for a little, not that we can't keep talking about some of the same things, but this is a reaction show. And I do want to hit some things that we maybe haven't hit yet on the show. So if there's something that we really haven't talked about, Let's hit that. We will throttle A&M. Maybe so. Maybe so. Scoreboard didn't show it, but I know this was our game for sure. Yeah, the scoreboard really didn't show at the beginning of the game that it was our game. This is, I think, if you're a college football just general fan, not an Auburn fan, and you checked in on this game, you're like, that's about what I expected to see Auburn in the first half. And then you flip over and you see Auburn went to overtime. You're like, what happened? Mississippi State won the game tonight. Almost blew it for themselves. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and claim moral victories, but I'm also just trying to, talk about the things that we can take away as a positive. If you're a recruit for Auburn, what you saw tonight, it's got to encourage you. It's got to say, wow, that team's fun to be a part of, even when they don't have a traditional head coach. We have a head coach, and his name is Cadillac Williams for the next 3 games. But boy, did they surprise a lot of people tonight. Nearly a perfect second half by the defense. Trying to think if there was, they did get hit over the middle, it seemed like a few times, by their wide receivers. I'm just shocked how effective we were running a more not traditional, but a defense that you wouldn't normally run against an air raid. Shows you how much push we were getting up front, showing up in the stats, whether it's a Jeffrey Imba sack, forced fumble here, Derek Hall, Colby Wooden. Guys were just flying around everywhere. So the stats show up. I really find it hard to find a complaint from the defense in the second half. You knew Mississippi State at some point was going to figure out a way to get their offense rolling. It's just a miracle that they didn't, do it before then. Next 4 games, what are you getting at there? Did I say something wrong? Because we have 3 games left. Texas A&M, Western Kentucky, Alabama. Unless you're assuming we're going to get a bowl game, which is possible. Maybe not. No matter the coach, our team is who they are, talent at the top, but not enough depth for the injuries. Yeah, I think tonight they showed you that even injuries, they still got what it takes to be competitive. But the depth problems are definitely starting to cause more problems. Imba is a freak. Manhandled Mississippi State's offensive line. It was nice to see him get a good showing tonight. If the offense capitalizes on all the turnovers the defense caused, we win by 3. So absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. All right, let me see here. What else haven't we hit here? Hey, listen. This is what happens when you give up on your team. You never know. Don't give up on these Tigers, guys. That's fine to flip over there, but you better flip right on back. Do not give up on this team, no matter the coach. They've shown you they got a lot of fight in here. No quit whatsoever. Watching Caddy coach demonstrated to me why I want someone who loves Auburn as head coach. That love matters on the field. It does. Now, that's a big conversation, and we're not going to get into the big coaching discussions on this stream about the future of that. But that is kind of a conundrum, right? If you say they have to love Auburn, that means they probably got to have some tie to Auburn, which really limits your search. Which of the names that have been mentioned, really, it's Jeff Grimes, which I'd be okay with, but I know a lot of people aren't happy with that. So I agree. In a perfect world, want an Auburn person under that role. I think we are best suited when we have someone there that understands that love, that understands what it means to be a part of the Auburn family. Doesn't mean you can't learn it. Pat Dye learned it, and he now is the epitome of that. But I agree with your sentiment, Brian, that it kind of shows when there's someone out there that truly appreciates not just the opportunity, but this kind of opportunity. It really showed. Michael, or Dustbuster to you, sir. I'm really happy with the amount of people that still use that. Oh man, what the things that your podcast, it is a podcast, but your YouTube channel can be known for. I guess there are much worse things. Thoughts on who's going to win the West? I guess LSU's in the driver's seat now, aren't they? Because they beat Ole Miss, correct? Am I wrong in that? Or yeah, they beat Ole Miss. They beat Alabama. Who have they lost to? Help me. They lost to anybody? Mississippi State? Did they lose to Mississippi State? Sounds to me like LSU's in the driver's seat. Looks like some people are confirming that already. Full week to prepare for Coach Caddy. I agree. So listen, lot to learn from this. I think immediately you got to assess your offensive line health and depth and figure that out and just really hone into these guys and talk about, fighting through the noise. Now you're going to be at home, so it's going to be a little bit more helpful. The penalties. I think it's much more simple than refs making a bad calls. I think if we don't have the penalties that we did tonight, this is a much, much different situation. Yeah, you can say the missed field goal, taking advantage of the turnovers that were given to us, the muffed punt by them. If we had taken advantage of that, sure. But I think penalties would have made a lot better, a bigger difference tonight. Barton Lester is who you mean. Wrapped up better. He played a lot. He's been earning a little bit of extra time. I think at this point, anybody wants to show they want it, give it to him. I will caution, and I know this is not the Bama stream, but don't think just because LSU beat these guys, because these are two decent teams. LSU has proven that they're a decent team now. We thought they weren't, but they have gotten better. So don't think that they are beatable, that anybody can beat them now. They're not. But it shows you they're not unbeatable. I had Auburn straight up, should have taken the points. Well, that's what happens when you gamble, my friends. Sometimes you lose. You should never gamble against the Auburn Tigers. Maybe this year you had good luck at doing that, but not so much in history. Never gamble against my Auburn Tigers. That is one of the I certified Cobra. I'm sorry, that's just stupid. Here's the thing. The firings are coming for most of these people aren't going to be here by the end of the year. So if you're saying that he should have been fired, then you're saying that he didn't do a good job the rest of the night, which got us in position to win the game. So it's not as simple as he should just be fired. That's just stupid. I still want to know how that last field goal wasn't roughing or at least running into. Now, I will be honest with you guys. I saw the miss and I looked away and started getting ready for this because I kind of felt it coming. So I didn't really look at the roughing part of it. Again, I will reiterate. If you're not in that position anyway, if you taken advantage of some other things, that's not really a factor at the end of the game. It sucks to say it, but it's the truth. The O-line is just way too inconsistent. I get you. I hear you. Let me remind you that he's no longer the direct coach of the offensive line. That is now, I almost said Jerome Bostrom. No, he is more of a staffer. Kendall Simmons. Now, 1 week is not enough to say he did a terrible job, but let's just put everything in context here. The O-line has been inconsistent before Will Friend. The O-line's been inconsistent for much longer than that. This is not an indictment on Will Friend. Can he be better? Absolutely. Can he recruit a little bit better in terms of getting more offensive line here sooner? Absolutely. But you're probably going to get your wish here in a few weeks anyway. Here's what I know about Will Friend tonight and Ike Hilliard. They both had a terrible first half. They had a great second half as OCs together. Michael, I don't think it's fair to say he was great either. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So there you go. Kind of some other people echoing that. Just enjoy the rest of the season. See what happens at the end of the day. It's just a game. It doesn't affect your life one way or the other. I think some people forget that sometimes, at least in how they behave online. I noticed players that coach allowed everyone who wanted to play get some time, and the players took advantage of it and stepped up. So there's nothing better sometimes for there's someone to get an opportunity they haven't had yet this season and obviously take advantage of it, because then it lights a fire under the people that have that time normally. Oh, wow, I can lose my time. It kind of makes it more real for them. And it kind of only elevates better. So if you've got this, the normal starter here, kind of just, getting the job done, but not enough. Someone comes in and steps it up. And it's like, okay, I got to raise my level. And so now you've got the depth getting better and better and better and better. Some of that could be going on right now. What are your thoughts on Ashford overall? Shared those a little bit earlier, but I'll reiterate one more time. I think Robbie Ashford is the best option for us given how our offensive line plays holistically this year. Good second half tonight, even with the injury to Austin Troxell, who's probably been the most consistent in my eyes, offensive lineman for us this year. Yeah, I think he presents opportunities for us that we wouldn't have without his legs. He is very erratic sometimes with his passing and his decision making outside of that, but he's a young guy in a tough situation, so I'm willing to give him a lot of leeway. Now, the future, let's just wait and see what happens, because it's going to look really different here in 3 games or after 3 games. How about him getting bruised and never giving up? That's what you love to see, right? Got knocked out, kind of silly, was a little bit dizzy for a little bit, and man keep fighting. Listen, I was frustrated with him at times tonight. I still got nothing but love for that man. Didn't quit, kept fighting, showing leadership out there. Not perfect, but I don't ask you to be perfect. I just ask for you to give your best, and you can definitely tell. And he's going out there just like Cadillac is just thankful for the opportunity. Can always be better, but just thankful for the opportunity. Wide receiver drops were unacceptable. Yeah, they did have some tonight, but to me, I mainly recall the drops happening on some poor throws. Now, I could be wrong. That's just me in my mind at 12:30 at night thinking about it. That's fair. I think Robbie presents more opportunities. He does. Judy, I agree. War Cadillac. I'll just mention this briefly. It's not official, but you don't travel with the team. That kind of shows what's happening. So I think TJ is gone. I wish him the best. Thank you for his time here. He helped us in some ways, but obviously wasn't the help that we ultimately needed. I think we are working with our best option, whether he was injured or not. Wish him all the luck in the world. And people would be transferring regardless. All right. Not going away just yet, but let me go ahead and use this time very briefly to give you an update of what to look forward to this week. Tomorrow, we got 2 live streams for you that you do not want to miss. It'll be a little bit of a palate cleanser for you because we want something to be happy about, right? So I want you to keep this in mind. At 3, this is the plan right now. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, tomorrow, we are going to be doing a season preview of Auburn basketball. The first game is the next day, officially. We already had the exhibition. Don't miss the season preview show. We're going to have a special guest on with us. Someone you've probably seen them before, maybe. Another podcaster out there who does some Auburn basketball stuff. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow night at 9 Eastern Time. We will be doing another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. It is live. You can chat along, so don't miss episode 11 as well. And be sure to subscribe on YouTube if you haven't to be entered into our subscriber giveaway. Also, leave a comment on any comment section, not the live chat, any comment section of any eligible video. Details for all of that subscriber giveaway are in the description, as is all the other things you need to know, be involved with, ways to support the channel. It's all in the description, folks. Go check that out. All right, that's usually where we lose a lot of people because they're like, I don't want to hear all that. That's fine. But I got to do it anyway because I'm running a business here. But the biggest thing that you can do for us, if you haven't, see, we got a lot of people liking. I don't know where we're sitting at on the like button, but smash that like button for us if you can. It does help the stream out. It's free. All you have to do, even if you don't like me, just smash the like button. It's really easy. Just poke it. Well, Andrew, you have to come tomorrow, 3 p.m., and we'll talk about it. We will definitely talk about it. And thank you for that. I agree. We love I know you guys love it, but we love doing that show as well. All right, let's see here. We're not going away just yet, maybe wrapping up here soon, but what other comments and questions about the game do you have? We've talked about Robbie, his performance, the offensive line performance, Coach Caddy's first game, the response, Tank's big run, Jarquez's big run, the overtime situation, the kicking situation, penalties, refs. What other storylines have we not hit tonight? The injury to Austin Troxell. What other big things have we not hit in this game that we should hit? I feel like we've hit the majority of them, but if there's something that you'd like to discuss a little bit more, you can do so. And by the way, we do have that Booster Club phone line open, and I just realized it's hard for me to see when someone calls in, so I hope I didn't miss anybody tonight, but I'll leave it open for like another 5 minutes for you guys if you want to take advantage. Takeaways that look good. You're saying the takeaways look good. Yes. Wasn't it nice to be on the positive side of it? Did we have a fumble or an interception? We didn't have an interception, but did we have a fumble tonight? I appreciate that, WD. Listen, we're not perfect here either. We make mistakes sometimes too, but our focus here is not to get into the whole, oh, this person sucks, this person needs to be fired. We can have discussions about, critical, constructively critical things. But yeah, there's too much of that out there. We don't need to be part of it. We had a fumble. What fumble did we have? Was it a recovered fumble? I can't remember that one. Help refresh my memory. Do you think Tank's draft stock has decreased by a lot because of this season? Yes. I was sitting there thinking about that tonight. Selfishly, I was thinking, has he had a bad enough time this season, not necessarily by his performance, but time, that he would drop so low that he'd come back for his senior year? For Tank to come back, I think you got to have Cadillac as the head coach and prove that you're going to get an offensive line to block for him. I think, unfortunately, we are watching the final days of Tank Bigsby. Thankfully, we're starting to see some more of him, and it's ending on a better note for him. Tonight's run just lit a fire under me. It's so disappointing that we're not talking about a win for him, for all these players, for Cadillac tonight. It just sucks. Always you're so welcome for you guys coming and being here and creating a place. People starting to head out. I appreciate you guys being here as you do head out tonight. I know it is late. Now, listen, this is the latest live stream that we've ever done. During College World Series out there in Oregon, we did live streams at like 2 a.m. You're tired. What are you doing? Did you miss those live streams? Go have a good night, sir. We did have a fumbles on the stat sheet. Okay. Maybe it was one that we got back. Was it the one? Oh, is it coming back to mind now? Was it the one where Robbie dropped a snap or something like that? I can't remember. Alston looked good. Looked great every time he gets in for those 1 to 2 snaps a game. Now, keep in mind, too, it's very easy to look good for those 1 or 2 snaps because you're the most fresh, you're raring to go and stuff like that. Listen, Damari's going to get his time. I'm just happy that they're utilizing him some this year. The fumble out of bounds. Thank you. Thank you. I knew it was like right here in my mind, and I couldn't bring it up. That was very fortunate. That will keep you up late. Derek Hall and Colby played too hard just for the season to end like this. Well, it's going to end like this regardless. So, yeah, listen, they're going to make the most of it. They've had great seasons for the most part, so they're going to be rewarded for that. I think there's a lot of individuals that have made the most of their season. Two of those we're just discussing right now. They were integral tonight. Derek Hall, Colby, just so many. The push that we got tonight was very refreshing and is really what you needed to do against Will Rogers, because he will just dice you up if you give him the time to do so. All right, we'll do 5 more minutes here. So 5 more minutes. I will go ahead and shut down the phone line since we didn't have any Booster Club members call in tonight. But last minute comments, questions, and derogatory rebuttals. Zach posted on Twitter. So Zach Etheridge, he said he didn't pull a hammy. Well, he pulled something, because whatever it was, that man had pain on his face. You love seeing the man give his all for this team. Here's what I'll say. That locker room tonight is I'm sure they've already started packing up and leaving, but that locker room tonight must have been just a bag of mixed emotions of going in at halftime, feeling just like everything's falling out of your control, fighting back into it, nearly having the win tonight, and just having it snatched from you at the very end of this is just heartbreaking. This may be just operating in the realm of hyperbole and over sensationalizing things, but I kind of think back to that discussion, if you've seen the video, that Coach Dye had with the team. I think it was after a loss to Tennessee, and talked about there's going to be a lot of days that you come up empty-handed, and all you can do is go back on the line, go back and lay your guts on the line again and again and again. And I think maybe that's probably what happened tonight for these guys. Maybe Coach channeled a little bit of that. I would have loved to have been in that locker room, because I bet there was a lot of love in there. Not just because we're suffering because we lost, but because this team knows that they're better than their record shows, than the results of this game shows. They're not a great team. I would venture to say they're barely pushing being a decent team, just with talent alone and stuff like that. But this team is not giving up, and I am so, so proud of him, the coach, and this team. I would have loved to have been in that locker room tonight. That atmosphere will be electric against A&M. If you are not coming to Auburn, you are not going to have a good weekend. I will be in the game, but I would be there even if I didn't have a ticket, just to experience this weekend. Don't miss it, folks. Do not miss this game. Do not miss this opportunity to be in Auburn on a night game, on a cool, probably cold fall night, with Cadillac running out of that tunnel as your coach. Don't miss it. Great perspective there. Great perspective. Only thing we can say now is what if? Absolutely. And sometimes that's a great place to be, because you got nothing left to lose. If JD Rim, I always say Rim didn't slip, maybe we can always play the if, ands, or buts games. But the fact of the matter is, we lost the game. Several opportunities to take this one, not have the refs be a factor, not have the missed field goal be a factor, not have overtime be a factor. And sometimes it's just not your night, no matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you fight back, no matter how hard you want it. It's just not your night. Papa B, first time I've seen you comment tonight. Those cowbells were loud. They always are. And they're always annoying. They were banned a long time ago, but now they can use them. It's going to be crazy fun, Brian. I'm going to try to bring you guys the experience from campus as much as I can. All right, look, we are right at an hour tonight. I am really, really appreciative of you all showing up tonight, smashing the like button if you can, being a part of this channel. We are getting close to 2,900 subscribers on that journey to 5,000. Help us on that journey with the subscriber giveaway that we've got going on. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. It will help us reach that goal, and it'll get you not only a signed Auburn football, but some other prize package stuff as well. Don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m., live stream for men's basketball preview, 9 o'clock tomorrow with Austin and myself, the Auburn Experience Show, episode 11. It's a well-rounded palate cleanser for you. And be sure to check out all the links in the description for ways to help support our content. Guys, you are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Win or lose, we're all in this. I know that's cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. We're all in this together. War Eagle, my friends, we are in the Coach Cadillac era officially. And even in a loss, it's pretty sweet. War Eagle.